I bet you think Wyoming is just snow, cowboys, and empty land. But this state hides stories so unbelievable that they sound like Hollywood movies. People jumped from giant towers with no way to get down. Pioneers fought frozen mountains just to survive. And a simple hotel helped create the entire Western genre we see in books and films today. Today, I am going to show you 13 wild facts about Wyoming that most people have never heard. And trust me, some of them will completely change how you see this state. So hit the like button, subscribe, and let's start with a man who became a legend before he was even famous. Fact 1. Buffalo Bill did not start famous. He was a hunting guide. When people hear Buffalo Bill, they imagine a worldwide superstar traveling with his famous Wild West show. But before the fame, he was living on the edge of survival. In the 1860s and 1870s, he worked as a hunting guide, leading dangerous trips through the wild frontier for important guests. He even became chief of scouts for the United States Army, riding through enemy territory and risking his life almost every day. That means Buffalo Bill became a legend not because of stories, but because he actually lived them. Later, he founded the town of Cody near Yellowstone and turned his real adventures into a show that traveled the world, making the Wild West famous on every continent. He was not just acting the Wild West, he was the Wild West. Fact 2. Wyoming has the fewest escalators in the entire United States. Yes, this is real. Wyoming, the 10th largest state in the country, has only 2 escalators, not 2 per city, not 2 per mall, 2 in the entire state. Both are located in the city of Casper, one of the largest towns in Wyoming. Why so few? Because Wyoming is the least populous state in the whole country, with a population density of only 6 people per square mile. With less than 600,000 residents, the state builds infrastructure only where it is truly needed. And apparently, escalators are not a priority. This number may change in the future. But right now, Wyoming proves that sometimes the Wild West still prefers stairs. Fact 3. Modern Westerns were born inside a hotel in Wyoming. In 1902, The Virginian by Owen Wister became the first Western novel to receive critical acclaim. It influenced the style of films and books we know today, and it all started in the lobby of a hotel in Wyoming. Wister observed real cowboys, gunslingers, and legendary figures while sitting there, creating characters that would define the Wild West in fiction. The Occidental Hotel still stands today. It hosted Butch Cassidy, Calamity Jane, and President Theodore Roosevelt, essentially becoming the birthplace of the Wild West we see in movies and books. Fact 4. A Wyoming fort appeared in one of the most iconic video games ever. If you ever played Oregon Trail, you probably stopped at Fort Laramie. But this place wasn't just in a game. It was real and crucial in history. Built in 1834 as a fur trading post, Fort Laramie became the most important military fort in the Northern Plains during westward expansion. It was also a site of negotiations and conflicts with indigenous peoples. Today, you can visit more than 22 preserved historic structures and see actual wagon wheel marks left by pioneers over 150 years ago. Fact 5. Wyoming's capital was once ruled by cheaters, gunfights, and gamblers. Cheyenne is the official capital today, but it didn't start that way. Founded in 1867 because of railroad construction, the city was basically a real-life Western movie. Hunters, cheaters, professional gamblers, gunslingers, and railroad workers all lived there with almost no law. Crime was so high that the city became dangerous and unruly. Only after the railroad expanded and many people moved on did Cheyenne become peaceful enough to grow, eventually becoming the capital of Wyoming in 1890. Fact 6. Wyoming was the first place in the USA to give women the right to vote. In 1869, when almost no one in the world allowed women to vote, Wyoming Territory passed a law granting women suffrage. This earned the state the nickname the Equality State. It didn't stop there. In 1925, Nellie Taylor Ross became the first female governor in the United States. While other states debated equality, Wyoming was already making history and shaping women's rights. Fact 7. The first JCpenney store started in a tiny Wyoming town. In 1902, James Cash Penney opened his first store in Kemmerer, Wyoming, called the Golden Rule Store. His philosophy: treat everyone honestly and fairly. The business grew into a national chain, but the original store still exists. And you can even visit the house where Penney lived, now a museum. All this in a town with less than 3,000 inhabitants today. Fact 8. A giant rock became the Guestbook of the Old West pioneers. On the Oregon Trail, pioneers aimed to reach Independence Rock before July 4th to avoid snow in the mountains. This huge rock served as a symbol of progress and hope. Travelers carved their names into the stone, turning it into a trophy of survival. Today, you can still see 19th century signatures engraved on the rock. A real piece of history frozen in stone. Fact 9. Wyoming had legendary festivals full of trade, races, fights, and even romance. In the 19th century, the Rocky Mountain Rendezvous were massive gatherings organized by fur trading companies. Hunters, trappers, traders, and indigenous people came to exchange goods, restock supplies, party hard. Historians say these were like week-long festivals with horse races, gambling, fights, and even impromptu weddings. Most happened in the Green River Valley. Fact 10. Only the toughest survived in Jackson Hole. Today, Jackson Hole is a famous winter destination. Thousands of years ago, indigenous peoples only visited during summer. Winters were so harsh that survival was almost impossible. Only the toughest settlers and natives could endure the frozen mountains and extreme conditions. Fact 11. Cheyenne and the railroad created a true beacon of the West. When the railroad reached Cheyenne in the 19th century, the city became a central hub for trade and transport. Trains carried people, goods, and supplies, connecting isolated regions and boosting the economy. But Cheyenne also became a stage for parties, meetings, and conflicts, showing how the railroad transformed both culture and commerce. Fact 12. Wyoming is the only place in the USA where a creek flows into two oceans. Two Ocean Creek, in the Teton Wilderness of southern Yellowstone, is the only creek in the U.S. that splits into two streams. One flows to the Pacific Ocean, the other flows to the Atlantic Ocean. This natural feature, called the parting of the waters, makes Wyoming a unique geographic landmark. Fact 13. A man parachuted onto Devil's Tower and got stuck on top. Finally, the craziest adventure of all. In 1941, stuntman George Hopkins parachuted onto the top of Devil's Tower, a giant isolated rock. His plan was to descend using a 1,000-foot rope. The problem? It fell out of reach, leaving him trapped. For 6 days, park authorities dropped food and blankets from the air while figuring out a rescue. Finally, 7 professional climbers scaled the tower and rescued him, in front of an audience of 7,000 people. Only in Wyoming could a parachute stunt turn into a public spectacle of survival. So, did you enjoy these 13 wild facts about Wyoming? From risky adventures to stories that sound like movies, this state is definitely not what it seems at first glance. If you liked this video, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next amazing facts about countries and cultures around the world. And while you wait, check out the video appearing on the screen. I guarantee you'll love discovering even more crazy facts.